So something pretty interesting just happened April 21st, right? 2025.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Modi from India, he went over to Saudi Arabia. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman invited him.
Oh, right. I saw that.
And, you might just glance at it and think, okay, another diplomatic trip.
Mm-hmm. Routine stuff.
But I get the feeling, digging into it a bit, that this is actually, well, a pretty big deal for how that relationship's been changing.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. I mean, when you step back, the ties between India and, well, Saudi Arabia now, they go way, way back. Centuries, really.
Like ancient history back.
Yeah, think about those old trade routes,
Eh.
Spices from Delhi markets ending up in Riyadh souks, and vice versa. It wasn't just about goods changing hands.
Right, culture, ideas too, probably.
Exactly. It built these connections over, like, generations. What's fascinating now, though, is seeing how those really old sort of organic ties are becoming this really solid strategic partnership today. It's quite something to watch.
It really is. It's definitely moved beyond swapping spices, hasn't it?
Yeah, just a bit.
And that's kind of what we wanted to unpack today, isn't it? What's really in this stronger bond? What does it mean for the region, maybe even globally?
Good question.
Because it does feel like there's some genuine mutual respect there now, and some pretty big shared goals pushing them closer.
Yeah, I think that's right. And maybe a good place to start is, well, the leaders themselves. People talk about this kind of strategic bromance, almost.
Right. You hear Modi calling the crown prince my brother. I mean, that's not exactly standard diplomatic speak, is it?
No, it definitely signals something warmer, more personal.
But how much does that actually, drive the policy? Does the personal warmth translate into real action?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it? Personal chemistry can definitely help. It can smooth things over. But here, I think the warmth also reflects that their strategic interests are genuinely lining up more.
Okay.
Remember the Crown Prince's visit to India back in 2023? That felt like a key moment.
Yeah, that state visit seemed pretty foundational.
It really set the stage, gave that high-level push needed for the kind of cooperation we're actually seeing unfold now.
And this recent trip by Modi, it feels like, billing on that, his third visit, I think.
That's right.
But the first time he went to Jeddah, which is interesting in itself, and it was the second meeting of their Strategic Partnership Council.
Yes, exactly.
That council sounds important, more than just handshakes and photos. What goes on there?
Oh, definitely more. The Strategic Partnership Council is really where the rubber meets the road. It's the main forum where they sit down and hammer out the details. The concrete plans, the specific agreements for defense, for trade, for energy, all those key areas.
So that's where the actual work gets done.
That's the engine room of the partnership, basically.
Okay, so let's talk about those main pillars then. You mentioned defense, trade, energy. Those seem to come up again and again.
They're absolutely central and kind of interconnected, too. If you look at defense first, well, in a region with so many, let's say, complexities.
Understatement of a year, maybe.
Perhaps. But yeah, their defense cooperation is getting much more serious. We're seeing joint military exercises now, more intelligence sharing.
Real practical stuff.
Real practical steps towards working together on regional security. It shows they sort of see the threats similarly and are willing to actually do something about it together.
That makes a lot of sense, given the whole geopolitical situation over there. Okay, and then the trade side, the economics. How big is that piece?
It's massive, a real powerhouse. Saudi Arabia is one of India's top trading partners. We're talking billions of dollars every year.
Wow. What kind of goods, mostly?
Well, a lot of it is energy, petrochemicals flowing from Saudi Arabia to India, which India obviously needs for its industries. But then India exports things like pharmaceuticals, other manufactured goods back to Saudi Arabia.
So it's a two-way street.
Very much so. It's a fundamentally important economic link for both of them.
And it's not just buying and selling goods anymore, right? There's investment happening, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really growing area. You've got Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, the PIF, putting serious money into India.
Whereabouts in India?
Mainly into India's tech sector, which is booming, and also infrastructure projects. And that's, it's not just about the money. It's a huge signal of confidence in where India's economy is heading.
And Indian companies in Saudi.
Yep, that too. Indian firms are setting up shop in Saudi Arabia, bringing expertise in IT, healthcare, and interestingly, renewable energy as well.
Okay, that brings us neatly to energy. Saudi's always been a huge oil supplier for India. Is that changing?
That core relationship, Saudi oil fueling India's growth, that's still incredibly important, crucial for India's energy security, no doubt about it.
Right.
But It's also evolving. They know the world is shifting, right?
Yeah.
Energy transition. So now they're actively looking at working together on renewables.
Like solar power.
Exactly. Big solar projects and even exploring things like green hydrogen. It shows they're thinking long-term about energy, not just sticking to the old ways. It's quite forward-looking, actually.
That's fascinating. So beyond the governments and the big corporations, what about the people? There are loads of Indians living in Saudi Arabia, right?
Oh, huge numbers. Over 2.6 million Indian nationals. That's an incredible figure.
Wow.
And they're not just workers,
Yeah.
They're a real, cultural force there, a vibrant community contributing across the Saudi economy.
Kind of like unofficial ambassadors in a way.
That's a great way to put it. A living bridge between the two countries. And of course, the money they send home, the remittances, that's a huge boost for the Indian economy too.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's more than just economics. Think of the cultural stuff. Bollywood movies are apparently massive over there.
Really?
Huge. And cricket. They share that passion. Even simple things, like food, you find samosas easily. It creates these little points of connection.
And you even hear about things like Diwali being celebrated, yoga events happening.
Exactly. It shows people finding common ground, building understanding on a human level.
That feels really important. Like it makes the whole relationship more resilient somehow.
It really does. It goes beyond just government agreements when you have those deep people-to-people ties. It gets woven into the fabric of daily life.
Okay, so zooming out again, the big picture. What does this closer India-Saudi relationship actually mean for the Middle East region? Does it change the dynamics?
I think it does. It carries real weight for regional peace and security. Both countries have a very strong shared interest in seeing a stable, prosperous Middle East.
And interest is one thing, but are they actually, like, doing things together towards that?
Yes, definitely. You see it in practical areas like working together to counter terrorism. That's a threat they both face.
Makes sense.
And they cooperate on keeping those vital shipping lanes in the Persian Gulf safe. That's crucial not just for them, but for global trade.
True.
And looking ahead, you could even see them potentially playing a role together in trying to, cool down tensions or mediate conflicts in the region.
That would be significant. And does this alignment stop at the region's borders? Or do they see eye to eye on global stuff too?
No, it extends globally too. In places like the UN, you often find India and Saudi Arabia taking similar positions on big issues.
Like what?
Things like climate change or the need for better global security structures. Their combined voice on issues like that, well, it carries influence.
Right. Okay, you mentioned earlier Modi visiting Jeddah for the first time on this trip. Why Jeddah? What's special about that city?
Ah, Jeddah. Well, it's got this incredible history and cultural weight. For centuries, it was the main port, the gateway for pilgrims heading to Mecca and Medina.
The gateway to Mecca, right?
Exactly. So it's always been this melting pot, this hub for trade, for culture, for people coming from all over, including from India, for a very long time.
So Modi making a point of going there. What's the message?
I think it's a deliberate nod to that deep, long history. It's like saying, yes, this partnership is about the future, about tech and energy and strategy.
Right.
But it's also built on centuries of real interaction, real connection. It acknowledges those historical roots. You could even draw parallels, maybe, with India's own historic port cities.
Interesting. Like connecting coastal heritage almost.
Something like that. It's this blend, respecting the past,
Yeah.
while really focusing on where the relationship is going next.
Okay, so bringing this back to someone listening right now. Why should they care about India and Saudi Arabia getting closer? What's the relevance?
Well, it actually touches our lives in pretty direct ways, even if it seems distant. Think about energy millipedes. Their cooperation, especially on oil, but also renewables, can eventually impact energy prices globally.
Which means prices at the pump, heating bills.
Exactly. And the trade, the investment that creates economic activity, potentially jobs, both there and maybe indirectly elsewhere, and maybe most importantly, their work on regional stability.
Yeah.
A more stable Middle East is good for global security overall. It reduces risks that can ripple outwards and affect everyone. So it's not just abstract diplomacy, it has real-world consequences.
Good point. So if we had to sum it all up, what are the absolute key takeaways, the cornerstones of this whole thing?
Okay, let's see. Number one, definitely that leadership connection, that personal rapport, fostering trust.
Right, the Modi-India link.
Then number two, the defense cooperation increasingly important for regional security. Three, the booming trade and investment, the strong economic foundation.
Got it.
Four, the energy relationship, still crucial with oil, but also evolving with renewables. Five, those vital people-to-people ties, the cultural bridge.
The living bridge.
Exactly. And finally, number 6, that shared vision for regional peace and stability and their cooperation on the global stage.
Wow. It really is a multi-layered thing, isn't it? Not just about one single issue.
Not at all. It's a convergence across many different fronts.
So what's the final thought for people to chew on?
Well, maybe just this. This India-Saudi relationship, the way it's deepening, it's actually a really powerful example of how diplomacy can work in today's complex world.
How so?
It shows how two very different countries with different histories, different systems, can find common ground, navigate tricky geopolitics, and actually build something mutually beneficial, something that could contribute positively, not just for them, but maybe for the wider world too.
So a model for collaboration, perhaps?
Perhaps. It certainly makes you think about the potential and the importance of these kinds of strategic partnerships in shaping what comes next globally. Something to keep an eye on, definitely.